And here's a book called Androgyny Toward a New Theory of Sexuality, retitled in 2000 as Androgyny, The Opposites Within. June Singer, 1976. Okay. Table of contents. Androgyny as guiding principle of the New Age. Hermaphrodites, bisexuals, androgynes, and the uncarved block. 2-in-1, becoming liberated from sex and gender. The Golden Age, right? The Hermetic dawn of the Golden Age. Age of Osiris. Eden revisited. The divine us who created persons, right? The androgynous god. Plato's androgyne, origins of heterosexuality and homosexuality. The Philosopher's Stone and alchemy. The androgyne imprisoned in matter. See, this is what it's all about. This is what they're doing to the world. This is what they're doing to children in schools. And this is written by a Gnostic, okay? This author is a Gnostic. Adam, Kadmon, and Kabbalah, the Tree of Life as androgyne, other manifestations in the East, dynamic union in Tao, Taoism from China, the Tai Chi, androgyny in motion, dynamics of androgyny towards a new theory of human sexuality. Well, yeah, I think the United Nations is working on that. Androgyny comes from two Greek words meaning male and female. In a wider sense, this particular dichotomy is one of many possible expressions of all dichotomies. As the Greek philosophers have taught us, thesis and antithesis, likewise masculinity and femininity, enter into a cooperative system under the rubric of androgyny. We are dealing with Eros here, and Eros, the double-sexed god, Hermaphroditos, right? Remember the winged angel, androgynous god, knows no boundaries. Astrologers refer to it as the Age of Aquarius. Perhaps in the distant future, social critics will look back upon the time we are approaching and will call it the Age of Androgyny. The idea of a divine androgyne is a consequence of the concept that the ultimate being consists of a unity totality. Within this unity totality are seen to exist all the conjoined pairs of opposites at all levels of potentiality. Creation occurs when the cosmogonic egg is broken. Then the world is born. Or it occurs when male and female, having been incorporated in one spherical body, are separated by the supreme power of creation. Cosmic energy is generated by the surge of longing in each one of the two for the other. Almost seems like they're saying the entire spherical model of the earth is a tranny. In other versions, earth, sky was seen as an androgynous deity. This non-dual constitution of the primal being, which contains within itself the potentialities of duality and multiplicity, has come down to us by way of the more sophisticated religions, also especially in elements of Hinduism, Taoism, and Buddhism, as well as in the Platonic tradition of the West. The androgyne has been nearly totally expunged from the Judeo-Christian tradition, for it apparently threatens the idea of a patriarchal God image. Androgyny, however, corresponds more faithfully to the guiding human archetype than does a societal structure based on a dominantly patriarchal mode of functioning, with women in a subordinate role. Despite the expunging, androgyny continues to assert itself, sometimes fiercely, challenging all attempts to suppress it. Androgyny refers to a specific way of joining the masculine and feminine aspects of a single human being. We see much evidence of the trend toward androgyny in our Western world today in social customs, manners, morals, and also, David Bowie, in the awareness of millions of people who are searching out ways to expand their consciousness of themselves and their world. Now think about it, 1976, David Bowie was like on album covers wearing dresses in the early 70s. The deeply moving spirit of androgyny is not yet obvious or familiar in our time and place, even though it is older than history itself. Everywhere it has existed as the hidden river. It has nourished religion and literature. From time to time it has emerged, sometimes as the spring of a new idea, sometimes as a torrent of reaction against an overwhelmingly one-sided political situation. Sometimes all you got to do is turn on your television and you'll see the divine androgyne. The women's movement, right? So the women's movement is kind of like step one of the androgynous movement, right? Right here. The recent expansion of androgynous consciousness brought about largely through the catalytic effect of the women's movement. So, and the women's movement was started by trannies. The women's movement may turn out to be the decisive step in the direction of androgyny. And we see this in the headlines today. It confronts directly some of the obstacles that lie in the path toward androgyny. Yeah, and the United Nations is doing the same thing. They're disguising the androgynous agenda to transform the human race. They're disguising this true agenda by the language of the women's movement, male-female equality, which really means androgyny. The radical feminist of today recalls the mythic Amazon, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, the Jewish militant tranny, a fearsome warrior who could defeat man at his own game. Beyond the contest for dominance, beyond the polarization of masculine consciousness and feminine consciousness, lies the intuition that there must be something else, a further development in human consciousness. This intuition leads to questions that seem to apply in our own times, but in fact have been asked many times in ages past. Can a new alchemy bring into being a union or reunion of opposing elements, a conjunction that may produce a new guiding image? What may be the nature of an image that can bridge the masculine, feminine opposites in human consciousness? Before you take the mark of the beast, you're supposed to worship the image of the beast, the androgyne. The image of the androgyne begins to take new form before the eyes of many people. That's right out of Revelation, man. The androgyne will not be discovered by turning outward into the world, but by turning inward into ourselves. All you got to do is go to a Swedish preschool. You'll become an androgyne. The androgyne rests in its murky depths and will not easily be imagined, let alone comprehended. First, androgyny is a state of consciousness that is far from ordinary, and therefore it threatens many people's state of equilibrium. Second, androgyny threatens many presuppositions about individuals' identity as men or as women. Hence threatens the security of those people, those homophobic people, those transphobic people, including most of us who has vested interest in the conventional attitudes towards sex, maleness and femaleness, and gender masculinity and femininity. The images of the androgyne are many. They may be found on your television. Alchemy, for example, is related in a large degree to Kabbalistic literature, as is Gnosticism, and all draw upon astrological speculations. This is written by a Gnostic, all right? This is somebody who likes androgyny. The movement toward androgyny that is emerging today grows out of the tensions between the masculine and the feminine elements in contemporary Western society. It spirals back upon itself to discover the older androgyny that is revealed in the mythology of that primordial time when the masculine and the feminine were not yet separated in the Godhead. Right out of the Kabbalah, to attempt to deal with the nascent contemporary androgyny without taking into account the old androgyny would be to deal only with the isolated and symptomatic manifestations without noticing their archetypal basis on which we have inherited from generations long past into oblivion. Chapter 2, Hermaphrodites, Bisexuals, Androgynes, and the Uncarved Block. So June Singer, the author of that book about androgyny, a kind of a disciple of Carl Jung, the Jung Institute in Zurich, Switzerland. All right, now I came across this book, and ironically enough, I come across this sometimes when I research this topic. A lot of these writers are actually in favor of this kind of thing. Like they're basically believing in this religion. So look at this, for my androgynous partner, fries. But the reason I bring this up, it's not necessarily the best example, but it's people have been writing about this topic for a while. All right, discovering the predecessor of modern religions, right? You got the dualism symbology there. So it goes back to ancient sculptures which show androgynous images, and also both male and female, kind of like we saw the androgynous Adam, the hermaphrodite people and gods and all this stuff. Androgynous godheads and modern androgynous symbolism. And I'm going to just go to the conclusion. So there's, it's okay. I guess it's an okay book, but it is coming from a Gnostic source. But I just want to show you the conclusion. So it says right here, the primary text of the Kabbalah, Zohar, and medieval variants of the Genesis describe an ancient Hebrew androgynous creation legend comparable to the legendary description in Plato's Symposium. The Kabbalah allows us to reconstruct the original legend in the early version of the Bible. See, that's false, all right? The Bible does not give us, you really need to be clear on that. The Bible does not talk about an androgynous creation. Subsequently, the author will describe the ancient sculptures and gradually develop the androgynous symbolism at full scope, leaving no doubt for a grand historical monument, a common androgynous religion for all peoples. So this book is saying that there's an ancient androgynous religion that is still prevails today by the elite, and that it's all over the world. The double triangle, right? You got the male and the female. We have a masculine and feminine triangle, sexual union, yin and yang, duality, androgyny, right? Studying androgynous symbolism reveals an overwhelming number of worldwide elements referring to androgynous deities. Androgynous sculptures may be dated back to as early as, well, come on, let's say 5,000 or 6,000 years, okay? Whereas the eldest religious androgynous symbols in the name Yehovah may be traced backward down to 850 before Christ. Okay. So now, again, a Gnostic source, they're going to be anti-biblical. I started searching for my parental creator God, and I ended up at finding a global androgynous celestial God. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Androgynous religion is to be considered as the predecessor for most modern religions. From sculptures, we may read a respectable age for androgynous religion, and several ancient androgynous sculptures are aged well over 20,000 years. We are able to trace detailed information and written legends for androgynous creation in the Bible, in the Zohar, and in Plato's Dialogue Banquet. And these legends refer to a standard bipolar deity whose name already reveals androgynous symbolism. Now, you're going to read something like this, exactly like this, out of Freemason books. They always talk about this kind of stuff, and what they do is they mix in the Bible together with the Zohar and all these ancient beliefs, and they just say the Bible is just another one of these beliefs, right? So again, I say these people misinterpret the Bible, and that's part of their main agenda, and they promoting this androgynous religion, but they're kind of revealing it to us who are studying that, hey, this thing exists, right? There is an androgynous religion that is still being practiced by the elite. Here's androgynous Adam. Jeremiah ben Eleazar, a Palestinian scholar of the 2nd century, inferred that Adam was created with two faces, one of a man and one of a woman, and that God afterward cleft them asunder. See, the Jewish encyclopedia, right? Rashi's Genesis, all right? Jewish commentary. God created the human being, both male and female, which was subsequently divided into two beings. See, it doesn't say God created Adam, both male and female. It says God created Adam, male, and God created Eve, female. That's what it says. The Zohar. I can't even read this stuff. The Zohar is widely considered the most important work of Kabbalah or Jewish mysticism. The Zohar first appeared in Spain in the 13th century and was published by a Jewish writer named Moses de Leon. The Zohar describes the Tetragrammaton's androgynous symbolism in detail, but must be considered to define incorrect androgynous keys. So, it's saying God is androgynous, but this writer has some disagreement with the details of it, I guess. I don't know. Androgynous deities, all right, all over the world, okay? Zeus, another example of a androgynous god that you're probably familiar with, is Baphomet or Baphomet. Baphomet is a deity that the Knights Templar were falsely accused of worshiping, and that subsequently was incorporated into disparate occult and mystical traditions, all right? So, of course, they want to deflect the truth a little bit. The original goat pentagram first appeared in the book by French occultist Gualta, 1897. This symbol would later become synonymous with Baphomet and is commonly referred to as the Sabbatic goat. Samael is a figure in Talmudic lore, El, God, and Lilith is a female demon in Jewish mythology. The Hebrew letters at the 5 points of the pentagram spell out Leviathan. This symbol was later adopted by the Church of Satan, officially named the Sigil of Baphomet. In Magic, Book 4, Crowley asserts that Baphomet was a divine androgyne and the hieroglyph of arcane perfection. This serpent, Satan, is not the enemy of man, but he who made gods of our race, knowing good and evil. He bade know thyself and taught initiation. Know thyself, that's kind of what they're saying now with the transgender agenda, right? Know your true self. He is the devil of the book of Thoth, and his emblem is Baphomet, the androgyne, who is the hieroglyph of arcane perfection. He is therefore life and love, but moreover his letter is Ayin, the eye, the androgynous eye, so that he is light, and his zodiacal image is Capricornus, that leaping goat whose attribute is liberty, the Statue of Liberty. For Crowley, the Baphomet is further a representative of the spiritual nature of the spermatozoa, while also being symbolic of the magical child, produced as a result of sex magic, type of sexual activity used in magical, ritualistic, or otherwise religious and spiritual pursuits, kind of like a Kadesh, a sodomite. As such, Baphomet represents the union of opposites, especially as mystically personified in chaos, and Babylon is a goddess found in the occult system of Thelema. Her name was being later given in other works. In her most abstract form, she represents the female sexual impulse and the liberated woman. Chaos and Babylon combined and biologically manifested with the sperm and egg united in the zygote. Here, this is it right here. Mother of abominations, Babylon. Known as the Scarlet Woman, the Great Mother, the Mother of Abominations, is a goddess found in the occult system of Thelema, which was established by Crowley, whose duty was then to help manifest the energies of the current aeon of Horus, riding a beast, sacred whore, the whore of Babylon. The first of these was the Aeon of Isis, which saw mankind worshiping a great goddess. Isis, well, it's still being worshipped today. Osiris was the second Aeon, where humanity worshipped a singular male god, symbolized by Osiris. Finally, the third Aeon, the Aeon of Horus, which was controlled by the child god, symbolized by Horus. In this new Aeon, Thelemites believe that humanity will enter a time of self-realization and self-actualization. It's the age of the tranny, man. See, Horus is the androgyne, the mixture of Isis and Osiris. They're trying to change the entire world through androgynous alchemy. The Aeon of Horus had led to the Age of Aquarius, the New Age. The Age of Aquarius, profoundly significant as it is only one aspect of a far greater new spiritual age. Alchemy and Hermeticism. The cosmic egg of Orphism was taken as the raw material for the alchemical magnum opus in early Greek alchemy, the first stage of the process of producing the philosopher's stone, which is the androgyne, and this is their agenda, to transform the human race into the image of their androgynous god.